Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's digital debate seminar. We do very warmly welcome Dr. Derya Guer-Seker to today's seminar. So let me very briefly introduce her. Derya currently works at the Institute of German Studies at the University of Duisburg-Essen in Germany. She's doing research in discourse analysis and social media communication. And today she's going to talk about her study on artificial intelligence and the future of work, the digital transformation in social media. This work was supported by the Otto Brenner Foundation, which belongs to the German union IG Metall. So before I hand over to Derya, let me thank the ESRC for their funding, which actually makes the whole digital debate seminar series possible. So Derya, I hand over to you and looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Astrid, for the invitation and introducing my research topics. So just a second, I will share the screen with you and my presentation. Okay. Now you should see the screens as well. And I don't know how it's managed in this context, but I always share also my presentations afterwards, so you don't have to take notes. But feel free to ask questions, and I'm already saying sorry for my my English. I hope that it works out. First of all, yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to present my studies and results, which are focusing on social media and how artificial intelligence is presented in social media and online media in German online newspapers and social media platforms, focusing on the future of work. In order to present you my study, which was really complex, I first want to start with a short introduction into the linguistic perspectives and how artificial intelligence can be analyzed if you're a German linguist, such as I am. In the second part of the presentation, I describe the databases of my study and analysis, which is mainly focusing on language, images, and user comments. And at the end, a short summary with an outlook how further research on that topic can be conducted. As well as perspectives on a transnational analysis of discourses, mainly focusing on artificial intelligence and the future of work. To start with a short introduction where the research in German linguistics is starting to analyze artificial intelligence. The main issue is that in German linguistics, more and more linguists are concerned actually with the questions such as which impact artificial intelligence has on language and communications. And I want to show you shortly two works which show which central questions can be analyzed if you are looking on artificial intelligence or as a out from a linguistic perspective. Antos is a German linguist who says that artificial intelligence is mainly can be characterized, or the impact of artificial intelligence can be described as a disruption of language and communication. He is asking the question as follows: will robots interacting with us change our previous understanding of language-based communication? On the other hand, Lotze, who is also a German linguist, is mainly asking this question, focusing on AI and especially on bots in social media. Does artificial intelligence, do bots influence our way of communication? And she has in her work, she has a very important point that I want to highlight. So I read one part of her point of view when we are analyzing artificial intelligence in context of communication. She says as follows: if the dangers of artificial intelligence are to be discussed critically, one must always start at the linguistic level, because this is where the potential for disruption manifests itself. Natural and artificial intelligence work according to very different parameters. We all know that artificial intelligence is so a huge and complex topic, but Lotze says, but they have one thing in common. It is language, which is like a main focus you can have if you're doing research on artificial intelligence. This means actually that Antos and Lotze have a focus actually in their research questions on authentic contexts in which human beings interact with artificial intelligence applications, and these contexts are in the focus of their studies when we are looking on work of Antos and Lotze. For example, if you are using, you are in the internet, a lot of companies have bots you can use and ask them for a special service. And Antos and Lotze would now focus on the communication processes when you are using these bots as a service which are helping you. My point of view, or my research I want to show you today, or the results do have another perspective. I am focusing mainly, my central questions are not the authentic context in which social bots are communicating with human beings. My focus is how the media coverage regarding artificial intelligence actually is, on the one hand, on online media such as newspapers or online newspapers, but on the other hand also the user comments which we can see in social media platforms, or which are possible under online articles which are commenting newspaper articles concerning artificial intelligence and future of work. This means my perspective is a complete different one than Lotze's or Antos. I'm looking actually on how artificial intelligence is presented, or how it is described and characterized in online media or social media. But yes, why this perspective is so important. Using linguistic discourse analysis, such my studies are, can highlight mentalities of a time, of a society regarding certain topics. This means that we can, by analyzing by analyzing newspapers which are reporting on AI or future of work, we can draw conclusions regarding the communicative and social practices of a society, and thus we can find conclusions regarding perceptions, how artificial intelligence is presented, and which opinions the society has regarding artificial intelligence. This means discourses, in my point of view, are actually global topics. If you, if I have to describe what is a discourse is a global topic which is dealing with artificial intelligence and the future of work in this case. And I can, as a linguist or discourse linguist, I can find certain intertextual or certain phenomena which are leading to the discourse of AI and future of work by focusing on language phenomena, on focusing on argumentation patterns, or by focusing on images. I can analyze these mentalities of a time regarding artificial intelligence and future of work. So this is mainly the approach I'm using. It's digital. It's based on digital data, mainly newspapers and social media platforms, where you can find postings, articles, but also user comments, which are analyzed in the study I conducted. This is the study. You can also find the link to the study which I'm now presenting. You can download it, but it's on German. I'm trying to translate all the results now a little bit from German into English, but you can download the study on the sites of the Otto Brenner Stiftung. Astrid already introduced the Otto Brenner Foundation. The Otto Brenner Foundation is funded this study, and it's important to know that the Otto Brenner Stiftung is close to the IG Metall, which is like which is a labor union of a lot of workers which are working in the steel companies in Germany, or in the industry for cars and so on. So these are especially those areas where artificial intelligence has a direct impact on how work in companies are changing by automatization and programs which are used for production of cars and so on. So the methods I'm using are, I described them here. It's a media and discourse linguistic approach with a huge databases, which I'm now describing later on, and focusing on online media, social media, user comments in order to answer the main research question as follows: how is artificial intelligence presented in German media in the context of work, and what attitudes can be identified? This will I show later on. A close look or short look on the database for you. Here you can see an overview of the database. The corpus includes online articles and social media, and user comments placed below online articles, as well as different social media platforms. I focused in that study on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and mainly on Instagram. So you have data material like videos, pictures, but also written and spoken material, which we analyzed in that study. YouTube only we only focused on user comments and not on the videos which were uploaded in YouTube. And as you can see, the largest subcorpus is this corpus, which I call Future of Work, which is the hashtag Future of Work. And you can see on the right-hand side how many word forms the corpus have, like 628,000, more than 628,000 running words, and more than 70,000 word classes. In the total, the corpus comprises more than 1 million word forms, with a data volume of around about 2 gigabyte, which was a really, for the analysis, a lot of data to take, to analyze. And so that's why we had to also focus on special data. For example, when we analyze pictures, I only focused on pictures in online media, online newspapers, and Instagram, in order to have a basic, good approach in order to compare those different resources. Let me switch over to the online newspaper and the user comments. Here you can see a keyword cloud, where all words in the newspaper in the newspaper corpus, as well as the user comments, are occur with a minimum frequency of 100. And if you sort all these words, which are really also already shown a lot of topics in that newspaper discourse, you can see that we have a lot of function words, such as und, die, or der, in English, and the article the. There are numerous nouns that, refer to refer to certain actors, such as the federal government, Bundesregierung, or companies. And you also have thematically relevant context in relation to artificial intelligence, such as digitalization, AI, algorithm, robots, and machines, and also contexts which are indicating the context of work in which artificial intelligence is used, and which has an impact on work, on the workers, and different areas of jobs. You also can find a lot of words relating to society when you look in the this newspaper discourse, such as data, the question of data, how we data use, and how we can protect data, which impact artificial intelligence has on the economy, on the German word is Wirtschaft. But the discourse is also really, you can find in the discourse also a lot of Anglicisms, a lot of words which are actually English words, which are used also in German, or combined with German words, such as Cybersicherheit, and that would be cybersecurity in English. And that is what the language of the discourse is. It's there are a lot of English words which are used, really technical words, which show that language of the digital industry is dominating in that public discourse, which we analyzed. For me as a linguist, the main question is, why do I analyze all that words, is actually to find meaning of words. And if you look at that, a lot of indicators in the corpus are existing, which are showing that in the discourse there is a meta language. I call it meta language. For example, there are patterns such as artificial intelligence means, like here, and these are contexts in which, for example, online newspapers, you can find definitions what is understood under the word artificial intelligence, such as in the context I will now show you. In the newspaper Frankfurter Rundschau, you can find, for example, that context where you can find a definition what artificial intelligence is. It's an umbrella term. In German discourse, you can always find a context such as this one. In fact, the use of the term here, artificial intelligence, sometimes takes on inflationary traits, or you find articles where information events are described, where on the one hand, it is highlighted that defining artificial intelligence is really difficult on the one hand, and on the other hand, it also became clear that the majority of the audience has a queasy feeling when it comes to assessing the opportunities and risk of digital technology and its networking. So you can find, by looking on meta language in a discourse, you can find a lot of meanings, word meanings, and also first indicators how artificial intelligence and new developments in working contexts are, which opinions are regarding that technology, in that case in German public discourse. This means at the end of my study, I always have a glance on which definition or which meaning have words. And on the other hand, I'm trying to find definitions by looking in a lot of text. So if you do that, you find for example, here I try to find a definition what AI also does mean in German newspaper public discourses. AI is an umbrella term in German discourses. It includes machines and programs and software which learn independently, for example, which are capable of learning and solving problems. And artificial intelligence always has to do something with data that is evaluated from the starting point. Artificial intelligence in German public discourse is always connected to the so-called Zukunftsbranche. In English, I translated in industry of the future, and it always has is always connected to consequences, which such as the loss of jobs, or connected to metaphors such as water metaphors, like flooded, or words which indicate that artificial intelligence has an impact on jobs or the future of work, such as full automation. The characteristics of AI in German discourse is either you have a discourse about if AI is certified, or you also have a perspective on how artificial intelligence might discriminate certain people in society. Thus, there is a discourse of prejudiced AI or unprejudiced AI. If we talk about the future of work in German discourse, this means also that in the discourse you can find perspectives describing the status quo in Germany, and mainly it is like reported really negatively. So the German discourse highlights that the use of technologies like artificial intelligence is working in slow motion speed. There is a huge competition, and you have always context to a world domination, where you see the competition, for example, regarding to the United States of America or China. In these contexts, I could show in the study that there are a lot of metaphors used if we speak about, or if the media is reporting about artificial intelligence and the work and the future of work. You can find speed, war, sport, or water metaphors, and I tried to tag all that metaphors in the material, and so you could see that mainly in the German newspaper Discourse, metaphors, speed metaphors and war metaphors are dominating, but also revolution metaphors, which are connecting to the influence of artificial intelligence regarding to society, as well as in context of work and competition in the industry. So the metaphors really show that, that polarization in that discourse you can also find in the lexical level. If you look at all the words in discourse which are used in the public discourse, and you can find the negative impact of AI on the world of work, which are represented by words like problem, fear, danger, risk, or you find words like job loss. And in German context, you can find context highlighting that there is a skill shortage. I hope it's the right word, Fachkräftemangel, and the staff shortage, which is also highlighted regarding to artificial intelligence, and if the German industry is capable of using artificial intelligence in different contexts. At the same time, we find, of course, a lot of positive context. The positive changes includes, for example, increasing flexibility in working life, for example, in form of flexible working hours, work structures, or locations. And in context of artificial intelligence, it's also you can find context where it is described that artificial intelligence, such as robots in hospitals, for example, if they are used there one day, can relieve from hard work. With artificial intelligence, people are freed from tiresome and stupid routine work in future. And this is the positive perspective on artificial intelligence and the future of work. If we analyze discourses, then not only words are interesting or metaphors. In my perspective also, it is very important to look at which actors are dominating these discourse, which actors have a voice in that discourse, and which actors are visible in that discourse. And then if you look at this, you can see that the newspaper discourse is mainly dominated by contexts in which companies, the economy, or Germany as a country is standing in focus. But also, which was really interesting now to find out, is that we not only have countries or continents like Europe or China, the USA, we also have actors or words which indicate that the artificial intelligence discourse is also about gender topics. We can find on the linguistic level actors or contexts in which we can find words like woman or man, Frauen und Männer. And this shows that means that artificial intelligence discourse and the future of work is not only about how artificial intelligence is changing work or companies, but it's also about gender perspectives. For example, in that context, I now want to show you it's about the discrimination of women when, for example, Amazon systems are discriminating women in context of how do you call it, human resource if you have artificial intelligence application which is selecting all possible good candidates, and here in that case apparently the Amazon system discriminated women's applying for a job, for example. In many countries, women are losing their jobs because of automation. Oh my God, sorry. Or especially for the German context, I don't know how it is in the United Kingdom, but apparently only 60% of all AI specialists in Germany are women. So this is the gender perspective in the German AI discourse. So it's not only about technology and the impact of work on work. It's also about how the IT, the field of artificial intelligence is dominated regarding the AI specialists, which are apparently in Germany then dominated by more by men. And if we have this perspective on gender issues in the AI context, we find a lot of context about women, career choice, and aspects context in which the role of underrepresentation of women is mentioned. So my study didn't focus on gender because I had a different question. I wanted to know how which opinions we have regarding to artificial intelligence and how is future of work is looking like when users are speaking in social media of the future of work. But this is a field of analysis which will be very interesting because my materials show for the German context that we have a lot of context in social media where users are really aggressive and mean against women who are working in that field. So this is future perspective I will follow on when I'm doing further research on artificial intelligence and media. The study could also show that when we think about the future of work, that there are so many different perspectives on new work and how new work is should look like in future. So this is like an definition in German, and I translated in English. For example, for new work or good work and remote work. And the interesting thing is that new work is not only about working and earning money in German social media discourses. It's really about a meaningful work, doing meaningful work in future context. And it's about the why of work, which the users are discussing in that context. So new work in German context means really not only earning money, but trying to find a meaningful work in future, and new places of work where you can work not only fixed in your bureau or the university, but doing vacation working. So such different perspectives can be found with pictures of people who are working at the beach in different contexts, and it's really an interesting perspective on the future of work and how users are already living new ways of working in that context. My analysis was not only, or my study is not only focusing on the language, as you could see, like metaphors or words or definitions of central keywords such as new work or remote work, but it was also about how artificial intelligence is visualized in social media and media. And for the first step, I only show you now some pictures, which pictures are dominating in German discourse. Here, based on 207 images from online newspapers at first. We could find out or sorted 7 categories how artificial intelligence is visualized, and in that pictures mainly you can see robots, only robots with human beings, or pictures and surveys in which you can see how artificial intelligence has, which impact artificial intelligence has in society in future. Let's have a look on the pictures, which are dominating really in German newspaper discourse, are really robots that images of humanoid robots, which are dominating, like popular robots like Now and Pepper. And it would be interesting to know how it looked like in UK discourses. Is that also a prototype for artificial intelligence when it is visualized in, for example, English newspapers? In German newspaper, it is. So Now and Pepper are really dominating. And at the same time, you can find pictures where you see robots working together with human beings, and mainly experts, which are in this case mainly not women but men who are sighted or who are which are used in pictures. On the other side, we have the social media discourse, and my study could show that in the social media we have a different cultural practice of visualization of robots. It is like the cultural practice in social media is, if AI topics are reported, or as here, for example, in Instagram postings, artificial intelligence is mostly represented as a toy robot. So the question here is like, which impact it has on the perception if you are connecting artificial intelligence to toys and not to a technology, to data and other perspectives, as we have seen in the newspaper coverage. So here in social media, on Instagram, you can find mainly pictures of toys when there are postings concerning artificial intelligence or the future of work. This is my summary now regarding the time. So we have some time to discuss, or you have some ideas or own perspectives to maybe find an answer if in the UK robots or if artificial intelligence is reported in newspapers and social media, which is in the UK, if you can find the same pictures. Thus, in German online media, and the focus regarding the actors are mainly on companies, the economy, and also gender questions. It is interesting that gender issues are highly debated, especially on social media. If we look on the question of how the future of work will be, we can find different new perspectives on and ideas on new work, and how new work will be is now or will be in future. Another point is the impact of artificial intelligence and the different job areas and gender perspectives, which are really highly debated in this database, which is really only focusing on German resources. For me, further questions really would be transnational perspectives on artificial intelligence and future of work. If we see, for example, that we have a certain kind of metaphors in German discourses, how would that metaphors will be like, for example, in the UK discourse, or how the pictures of robots or artificial intelligence will be, are they similar? Are they similar or are they different from the German discourse? And for the transnational perspective, it also will be really interesting to work out perspectives with regard on new work. If new work in Germany or in German discourse is highly connected to a meaningful work, how is it connected, for example, in the UK or in the French discourse, and so on. Thank you very much. And now I'm looking forward for questions or further discussions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Derya. This was very interesting. This is fantastic work. So thank you very much for presenting these very interesting results to us. So I would like to encourage all of you to turn on your cameras if you like, and you can pose questions. So yeah, you may either raise the hand function or write something into the chat. And okay, so I see there's two people who rose their hands, and then there's one question in the chat. So let's start with Pericles. So please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a really useful presentation, Derya. Raised some really interesting questions, not the least that studying AI and the impact on work from a UK perspective gives a very narrow focus on the language and metaphors. So my horizons have been broadened. I particularly honed in on some of the early thoughts you had about how AI is impacting on language, and thought that that presented some really interesting challenges. I think it got me thinking about things like search engine optimization and clickbait, and how in the very language that we used as humans to describe our activities, we are perhaps unconsciously responding to the pressure of algorithmic analysis and optimization. That's not so much a question as an observation, but in terms of thinking where to take this work further, I have a question about perceptions to do with race, for example. So you've quite explicitly surfaced how gender intersects with AI and that there are exclusions. I know that the labour market in Germany may be quite different from the UK, but nonetheless, I would anticipate that race, national characteristics, things like use of Turkish names, for example, might be a factor in who does or doesn't see content, who is or isn't included in things like marketing, career messages by HR departments. And I'd wondered, my question would be, do you see any evidence of race being a factor that is evaluated and impacted by AI? Derya, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. And when I started that study, the focus was really on future of work and how work will be and which perceptions are there. And we find so many different perspectives, but the gender issue was really it was interesting to see that artificial intelligence is highly connected to gender issues, especially in social media, and to questions of discrimination regarding the selection of people when you are you writing an application for a job, and the artificial intelligence program which the company is using is not seeing you because you have a certain patterns which are not positive in that case. Or in that study, it's not about the algorithm which is selecting. It's more about the public discourse recognizing that artificial intelligence is discriminating or has an impact on the application of people. That could be a man, or it could also be a woman, or it could be a man with a different, not a common name, or Turkish name, or Arabic name, or Indian name. And there is a highly, I couldn't in that study, I couldn't look on that really, really intensively, I have to admit. But it's really a big issue. I think we have to look further on it when we are have that two approaches. The one approach is like you are really analyzing the impact of a program, and the other one is doing such work as I am doing, trying to find out in the media discourse how that discrimination through artificial intelligence is reported or covered in media discourse. Thank you. I hope I could answer your question.
So the next is Mattia, and then we take Maria's question from the chat. Mattia?
Yes, thanks, Astrid. And thanks, Derya, for a very interesting presentation. I have a very short question, actually. I was just wondering what happened to Industry 4.0 or Fourth Industrial Revolution, considering Germany as the birthplace of all the hype around this concept. I was quite surprised not to see this category, this concept in your presentation. Is it something that has gone out of fashion, or I would have assumed that artificial intelligence would have been quite popular and associated to this category? Thanks.
I hope I understand your question. Do you mean that what could I show in my study is like a high how do you say it?
No, I was sorry. I was more like interested in if reading that your study, I would have assumed that a lot of that Industry 4.0 would have appeared in your study much more often than it actually does, and I was wondering why it is not. Just a curiosity.
Okay. Yes. Industry 4.0, we call it Industry 4.0, is a topic. It is a topic, but I didn't highlight it in my presentation. It's like put in that in that, yeah, I had a, how do you say, an image where you can see all that actors in the discourse which are mentioned, and it's like the industry 4.0 is under that topic, companies and economy. So it is a topic, but I didn't highlight it here now.
Thanks.
All right, so there is a question by Maria. She's asking, what method of analysis did you use to analyze your data?
The method is like I conducted a mixed method. It's like a quantitative and a qualitative approach. And when I realized we had someone in the team who only conducted a quantitative analysis regarding the attitudes. If there are more positive attitudes in the comments or more negative attitudes in the comments, like I don't like artificial intelligence or I like. And that actually didn't help us much to find out how really the users really feel. So we had to combine that quantitative approach, looking at the frequencies of words, combining with really close reading of comments which were placed under the articles, for example. And so we could see a lot of different opinions and doing our work on interpreting that comments. So it's a mixed methods approach with more focus, I think, on qualitative analysis than quantitative analysis. And we used, I don't know if you use that tool, MaxQDA. MaxQDA, I don't know if you know that. It's a program where you can analyze written text as well as videos and pictures. And you have all that data in one project. So you can not only analyze the written language, but also the pictures, which are important. If you think about Instagram, you always have a post and a caption which is describing the pictures. This is also important to know. So that's why it's both quantitative and qualitative.
All right, so the next one is Jackie, and then I might also have one or two questions. Jackie, please.
Hi, well, thank you very much. It was a very interesting approach, and especially in terms of new methods. My question is about related to the methodology. So, I mean, there's a long tradition of discourse analysis that used to have to cut up newspapers and piece them together and work out what types of social protests were associated, for example, the work of Sidney Tarrow. But what I don't understand here is, so you've gone to LexisNexis and done the kind of word search. Maybe you could explain a little bit about that. But I suppose one of the questions I would be interested in knowing is there a difference in attitudes depending what newspaper you read? So really simple kind of hypothesis. You might find people that read Bild Zeitung, which might be something similar to The Sun or the kind of more working class newspapers or the Mirror, but they have a different attitude to technology compared to people who read Die Zeit, which is more like the Times, or not quite the Guardian, it's a different style, but there's a very clear differentiation in the class of newspaper. And might we expect people from working class to have more anxiety about the way it's reported in their papers than people in the middle class who may not see that their jobs are quite so threatened by these types of developments? Are you able to do anything like that?
Thank you for that question, which is really important. What we have done to build up that corpus was really, first we have the main corpus is like differentiated in different subcorpuses, as you have seen in that slide. So we have one corpus which is only focusing on newspapers based on LexisNexis. And the online newspapers, we selected actually by hand. We had certain keywords, and if that keywords during that time period from 2018 until 2020 could be found in an article, we chosen that article for our corpus. If not, it was not selected. So we have different approaches to find out really close to our research questions, to find out newspaper articles which are also reflecting our research questions. At the same time, we had that social media corpus, as I said, and that was really, we used hashtags for social media. We really used hashtags, and we had a student who is really was an expert really on retrieving, extracting social media data. So we choose hashtags such as future of work and combine it with artificial intelligence in order to extract all that posts in Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And at the end, we had that huge corpus, which was based on LexisNexis research, individual research on online newspaper, and social media automated extracting processes. And this was the corpus we used. And when we were coming next to the next question you have regarding that perspective, if there are different perceptions regarding the how do you say, if it's if you have the Bild newspaper is like similar to the Sun. I think, yes, you have a different language. You can find that different language, and you see that different language and perceptions as well. So I would say that there are different perceptions regarding, for example, especially to gender. Under that newspapers, for example, the Bild, you had more critical, I say critical comments on gender, for example, or more aggressive comments. But I can't say now, you know, that was my result. I can't say it now because it was really complex. For Facebook and so on, we can say that there are, if I compare the newspaper corpus with the Facebook corpus, it's actually, it was more aggressive, the language regarding, for example, gender or racial issues. So there is a difference, but I can't say that it's like an evident result to you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, we are running out of time. So, I mean, I had some kind of similar questions, I think. So this was about how did you select the newspapers that enter your corpus? And then what can we say about the representativeness of the data? And what about Bild or Taz, for example? Because I've read on the study and have some focus on the on the spectrum. Is it more left-wing, right-wing? Is all of them covered from a very broad spectrum? And then who are the reporters or commentators? Because this might give us some indication what's going on there and why do we see this sort of discourse. So this is more about maybe having some econometric analysis, some regression analysis as well. But we can talk about this later. So what's going on there and why do we see this sort of discourse? Yeah, but very, very interesting. And I mean, you may answer, otherwise I will have to close the session. Do you want to give a quick answer?
Yeah, we had a broad, I can only say, to keep it short, that we have a broad spectrum of newspapers, and this was really a huge effort to try to build a corpus which might be quite representative, but still it is a qualitative analysis, I would say.
Yeah, but fantastic work, and so much perspectives for future analysis. So this is very interesting, very exciting, and I think a lot of more studies will come up. So great. So we have to close this seminar. So there's a little poll that will come up on your screen. So may you be so kind to fill it out very quickly. And yeah, I would like to thank all of you who attended this seminar. And we will be having another great talk next week, which is by Will Hunt, Sudeepa Saka, and Chris Warhurst. And the title of the talk is AI Taking Our Jobs? Lesson from a Survey of UK Business Leaders. So I hope to see you there. And thank you very much for attending today's Digital Debate.